There is much confusion about the term Hades in the Bible. Many people refer to this word as meaning hellfire, as in the place of torment or punishment that the wicked will face when they are judged after the 1,000 years. But is this what the Bible means when it uses the word Hades? What can we learn from this interesting word? In this short video, I'm going to explain to you when do we look at hell when the Bible talks about a certain Greek word, and when does it talk about the place of the dead as in Hades. Luke 16:23 says, "And being in torments in Hades, he lifted up his eyes and saw Abraham afar off, and Lazarus in his bosom." So this text is in line with the rich man and Lazarus parable that Jesus told. If you want more information about this parable, click on the link below where I've done a video explaining the rich man and Lazarus parable. And the word here used is Hades. What does this word represent? Let me read to you the text in a more modern translation. Luke 16:23, "And his soul went to the place of the dead. There in torment he saw Lazarus in the far distance with Abraham." So it's called the place of the dead, this place of torment that the rich man found himself in. This is the only place in the Bible where the word Hades actually points to a place of torment, the place of the dead in this instance. But as I've already explained in the parable of the rich man and Lazarus, we cannot use this to explain doctrine, as that is not the way Jesus told parables. We needed to look at the fundamental point that Jesus is trying to make in the parable. Like when he sowed the seeds. He did not mean that he sowed seeds and people came from the ground, and the devil sowed seeds in the ground and wicked people came up, as if the devil can create. Like we can read in Matthew chapter 13 where we find this parable. It is a parable, and that's the important point. So let's look a little bit more carefully at this word Hades. So the word Hades is the Greek word, and the word Sheol is the Hebrew word in the Old Testament, and it refers to the place of the dead. Many times it refers to the grave. Most of the times, it's only in the parable of the rich man and Lazarus where it refers to something different, a place of the dead which includes torment. And Jesus tried to say that decisions we make in this life will have an influence on our eternal destiny. Because there are so much misunderstanding in regards to this word that many people will use this word Hades as to mean hellfire, as in the place of punishment, many modern translations have started to use the word Sheol or Hades in the place of the English word, which they translated in many translations like the King James Bible as hell. So when it says he did, like Jesus, he did not leave his soul in hell, the word there is Hades. So the more modern translations will use the word Hades or Sheol, like the Revised Standard Version. Even in the New King James Bible, you will find this in many instances, but not in all. But the later translations, they are just using the word Hades and Sheol to point to the place of the dead. It does not mean hellfire. And that's what I'm going to explain in this video. It does not mean hellfire where people are going to burn. So if you take the Greek word Hades and the Hebrew word Sheol and you compare it with the English word hell, as we understand hell, as in that's where the wicked is going to burn, then you will clearly see in the Bible there's a clear distinction that they are different. The one is the place of the dead and the one is the place of a torment. I'm going to give you the Greek word now at the end of this video, where I show you if you read that word, then it means hellfire, as in where the wicked will burn. Let's look at some parallelism in the Old Testament where the word death and Hades or Sheol is used together to point to the same place. 2 Samuel chapter 22 and verse 5 and 6. "When the waves of death compassed me, the floods of ungodly men made me afraid. The sorrows of hell," that word is Sheol, meaning Hades in the Greek, "compassed me about. The snares of death prevented me." So in verse 5 it is called death. In verse 6 it's called hell in the King James Version of the Bible. But the Hebrew word is Sheol. It points to the place of the dead. It's not pointing to hellfire. Another example is found in Isaiah 28 verse 15. "Because you have said, we have made a covenant with death, and with hell," Hebrew word Sheol, "are we at agreement. When the overflowing scourge shall pass through, it shall not come unto us, for we have made lies our refuge, and under falsehoods we have hid ourselves. So the Bible here clearly uses the word death and hell in a parallelism, because the one points to death and the other one points to the place of the dead. So it's the same thing. It doesn't mean hell as in hellfire. Now many times, unfortunately, because of this misunderstanding of what the word Hades or Sheol represents in comparison with the word hell as in the place of burning, people have misused these texts to point to hellfire, the burning of the wicked. And there are videos online where people say, I've dreamt of hell, God's taken me to hell, shown me hell, and I might do a video on that still. Then they would quote texts about Hades or Sheol in the Old Testament and saying it's pointing to hell and trying to explain the experience that they had in vision. But it's incorrectly used. It doesn't talk about hellfire. It is talking about the place of the dead. Let's look at some examples in the New Testament. Acts chapter 2 verse 31. He, foreseeing this, spoke concerning the resurrection of the Christ, that his soul was not left in Hades. So there we have the word Hades, nor did his flesh see corruption, talking about Jesus in the tomb. It's talking about the place of the dead, it's talking about the grave. Let's read it in another translation. He, seeing this before, spake of the resurrection of Christ, that his soul was not left in hell, neither his flesh did see corruption. So the King James Version of the Bible here uses the word hell, but the word is Hades, place of the dead, which the New King James rightly uses here. So it's not talking about hellfire. Jesus wasn't in hellfire, he was in the grave, the place of the dead. Let me give you another example. Revelation 1 verse 18. I am he that liveth and was dead, and behold, I'm alive forevermore, amen, and have the keys of hell, the word there is Hades, and of death. So the word Hades there does not mean hellfire. But God's got Jesus has got the keys over death, the place of the dead and death, as we saw the parallelism in the Old Testament. Another example, Revelation 20 verse 13. And the sea gave up the dead which were in it, and death and hell, that word Hades is used again, delivered up the dead which were in them, and they were judged every man according to their works. Now this is pointing to the resurrection of the wicked after the 1,000 years. They are brought forth from the graves. They're not brought forth from hell, judged and then thrown into hell again. God is not a God of confusion. He's a God of order. So the word is Hades. It's not hellfire as we understand it in the English language. And many people are misquoting these texts, thinking it's talking about a hellfire, and then it is not. So what is the word for hellfire in the Greek, where we mostly find the text about the second death or hell? The word in the Greek is Gehenna. This Greek word Gehenna denotes a place of punishment. It is also called the Valley of Hinnom, a gorge near Jerusalem repeatedly mentioned in the Old Testament. Here the barbaric heathen used to sacrifice their children and to Molech, and Josiah the king actually abolished this abomination. So this was a place where people were burned for Molech, and that's the Valley of Hinnom. Then later on, this place close to Jerusalem, people will then burn their rubbish, etc. at this place. So this is the place that's pointing to hellfire. The word Gehenna used because it's a place of punishment. It is a place where something gets burned. Let me read to you a text where the word Gehenna is used. Matthew 10 and verse 28. And do not fear those who kill the body but cannot kill the soul, but rather fear him who is able to destroy both soul and body in hell. That word hell in the Greek is not Hades, it is Gehenna. It's pointing to this place of punishment, the Valley of Hinnom outside of Jerusalem, where things get burned. Today it's carcasses and rubbish, but back then it was actually children's sacrifices to the god Molech, which was abolished by Josiah, as I've already mentioned. So the point is, if you want to know when does the Bible talk about hellfire, go and read the Greek word and you will see. Just download eSword, use the King James Version Plus, and they will give you the Greek word for that word. And when you click next to the number right on top of the word, and it will say it's the word Gehenna, then you know, oh, this is hellfire. It's used 12 times in the New Testament. The rest of the times is the place of the dead. So we can't just take any text and say this is pointing to hellfire. It's the place of the dead. My friends, if you have learned something in this video, subscribe to our channel, click on the subscribe button, on the bell, and on all, you receive notifications when you upload new video. Coming soon, a video about hellfire. Does it burn forever? Where does it burn? Etc. These questions I will answer from the Bible for you when we look at this important subject. May God richly bless you. And if you want to give a one-time donation via PayPal, click on the PayPal link below. It really supports our ministry. We're a self-supporting ministry and we really do appreciate it. May God richly bless you. Until next time.